I finally did it. At 20 years old, I moved into my dream apartment. Now, this is crazy because 4 years ago, I had like $200 in my bank account, and now I'm sitting in an apartment I could only dream of. Something that's kind of crazy is I'm still in college, so I have my businesses on the side, but I'm also still going through education. So this apartment kind of sets me up to where I can make a lot of content out of it, but I can also get day-to-day tasks done, like my business and college. 3 years ago, I probably had only $200 in my bank account. And for the past 3 years, I've kind of been grinding every single day to build my brand. And it's taken a lot of hard work. It's actually crazy to me to think how small the space was that I was working out right before this apartment. And I actually made a TikTok explaining how you really don't need that much space to run a successful clothing brand, but the space definitely helps. One of the things I'm most excited for with this apartment is actually having space to make content and really cool videos. I also wanted to make this video for the people that are working really hard right now and to tell you that it does pay off. I've been working probably the hardest for the past 3 years, and it all is kind of combined into this moment. And I think it's like really important to show the payoffs. Guys, I was working at Burger King around 4 years ago, and that was probably the worst experience of my life. And to think back to how I was feeling then versus now is kind of crazy. You've probably seen a lot of videos talking about how the clothing brand space is really oversaturated, but I'm here to say that's not true at all. I'll talk about this a little bit later, but I'm actually working on a brand to document the whole process of starting from scratch and making a successful drop. Like when I tell you guys that success is not random, please trust me. Because everything's pretty much just an algorithm. Now, let me bring you to the office space, which is right behind you, actually. And I'll give you a rundown of my setup right now and what I'm planning to do in the future. Moving from the living room, right behind is where the office is. And right now, there's not much to show. But this is all the inventory I've moved over so far. And this wall is going to be just a bunch of shelves to hold inventory, while over here is my setup. And I'm not going to show those too much, but all the packages I need to ship. Now that you're in the office, I first wanted to go over some key pointers if you're looking to move into your own place. Number one, save a lot of money, especially because going through the renting process, it's really hard being so young and proving your income, especially if you have a business that you do a lot of write-offs through. I had to actually show that I had 12 months of rent in my bank account, which I know sounds a little crazy, but if you have a successful clothing brand, you know that you can have large amounts of money in your bank account. Now, another thing I would recommend is have enough income coming in that the rent isn't a big deal for you, because you just never want to get stuck scrambling to pay rent payments because that's no fun. Now, some people will preach that rent payments are good because then you actually have to push yourself to work, which I can kind of see that. But I never want to be in a stressful situation where I have to try to make it work. That's just no fun to me. I also don't have a proper office chair right now, so I'm actually using the orange chair from the living room. But I usually stand when I do my work just because I think it keeps you more productive. And usually when I'm sitting down, I tend to scroll on TikTok a lot. But I wanted to bring you to the office because this is where I'm mainly going to be working on my stuff. The living room is really nice, but I usually use the living room more for relaxing and stuff. I also wanted to give you more of a backstory on how I actually got to this position. I've been running clothing brands for around 4 years now. I started actually with drop shipping different products, but still in the clothing space, and then got into actual product creation just because I liked creating the products. This is where I saw my success, just because I could tailor the products to things I like, but also to things my audience likes. The model that I use is a little different than most people's models. I don't do a drop-based brand. I actually have my website open all the time. Now, there's pros and cons to this. I would say the biggest pro is that you always have orders coming in, but the con is definitely that you have to keep the inventory in hand. With a lot of drop-based brands, you can do easy pre-orders, but with my type of brand, you need to have the inventory on hand so then you can get the product out when the person orders. I'm actually starting a brand that's going to be drop based just because I like how those work. My drop based brand is going to also be documented on this YouTube channel. So follow along if you want to see the behind the scenes process of that brand. Well, that's about all I wanted to talk about today. But if you have any questions, please leave a comment below. I would love to answer your questions. And also subscribe if you want to see more content. I'm going to try to post every single week, but we'll see how I do. That's the goal. And I'm going to be breaking down more about how I run my clothing brand and pretty much all business and lifestyle content. If you guys have any questions about your clothing brands, please let me know. I love answering clothing brand questions. And yeah, peace.